see if I can do speaker view. It's
It's
recording.
recording, so you, and you can stop the recording probably, right?
Should be able to stop it right here and mute. Let me get the Google Drive set up. Almost.
I'm another guy. Oh, great. What program are you in? I'm in psychology right now. Fantastic. What year? I'm a junior. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Did you come to, I don't think I remember seeing you, but you might have met Lindsay at the Psych Fair, Psych Research Fair. No, I actually didn't. Oh, yeah. Then great. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. I like green. Oh, okay.
I think it was right. Oh, here it is.
And then if you want to send that to me, I can then make it a PDF
Okay.
to send to them afterwards.
Sure. Well, here it is.
Perfect. That's great.
Let's let this ice slow down.
The purple, the blue button.
We were editing this afternoon. So.
I think that they said that we're supposed to have a cold building until November 1st. Yeah, I guess I had to. I think I'm going to start bringing in a blanket. I know. That's a lot of people because they're on the walkway. Oh, yeah. The United will be really nice when he comes back. That's the way they're moving.
Oops, that's not the wrong one. Gallery. There we are.
And then are you sharing your presentation through there so they can see?
Yeah, let me double check that real quick. Actually, we can just do full screen. I know there's a way to do it.
Is that the way? No.
One moment. No, thank you.
Theoretically, it's a video camera that moves to voice. Oh, I can get it. Yeah, but I think that he's set up that as being a better microphone for us in general.
Share.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my presents?
Oh,
there we go. I think we got it set.
yeah, right on time. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, see if we can.
There's account number 1. All right, we'll try this out soon.
How do we, like, I guys we just can assume that they can hear it?
It should, so it should be in the blue.
Oh, okay.
The Elvis microphone, as I call it. It should work. It is recording this, I believe, so. Let's see, where is the... Oh, there it is, it's right. Sorry. Dissertation hearing room. / recruitment / stats room.
Yeah. Well, you started with 2 online.
Okay. Oh.
Let's see if this works. I think this fell all apart. I can just do. I can just go ahead and.
Yeah.
Oh, and if I don't know if you wanted to unmute the two so that they can introduce themselves.
Sure. There you go.
Okay. That's fine. I can sing out back here.
Oh, yeah.
Hello. So the folks that are Zooming, can you hear us?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm going to mute mine's back because I do have my 10-month-old son here with
Oh, God, no, don't worry about
No
it.
worries.
Well, if you want to just real quick introduce yourself before you mute it.
Sure. My name is Janae Peoples, and I'm actually a senior psychology major here at VCU.
Awesome. And congrats on your 10-month-old.
Thank you.
And then the other person, it looks like Megan. Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Megan. I'm currently in the DC area. I work at in marketing for a company called Total Wines. So I'm hoping to make a career shift.
Great.
Cool. And then in the room, you folks know. No.
I'm Julia, and I graduated in 2017 from UVA with a psychology degree.
Great.
I'm Abby. I'm a junior studying psychology right now at VCU.
Wonderful.
Awesome. I'm Abigail Conley. I'm a faculty member in Counselor Ed. I'm a program coordinator and do coordinate also the college counseling student affairs track.
And I'm Philip Pinoca, also a faculty member, and I'm coordinating the doctoral program in counselor education and wherever else I can help out. So,
And I'm Jenna Lenhart. I am the recruitment specialist. I'm the one that helps with pretty much anything. I think.
So we were just gonna, for this session, I think Jenna's gonna do some of the like general things about VCU, and then Philip and I are gonna talk about some specific things about our program, and then just leave time for any questions that y'all might have.
To for VCU folks in the room or online, you know VCU, but I like to kind of give an overview, mainly because as a graduate program, I think it's important to understand the size of the university and that we are a Research One university, and how that sort of informs our programs and our practice. And that, in my mind, one of the great things about a large university is that cross-disciplinary opportunity with other students across various different programs, from our medical campus to our humanities and our Wilder School, which has public policy. So depending on what you're really passionate about in your career, in your future career, there's somebody that you're going to be able to have an interaction with. And there may even be, probably not in your program, but there may even be opportunities to engage in courses where that you have students in other programs. Again, maybe not in your program because your program's fairly structured, but to think about those opportunities as you're looking at universities, and that I think, at least in my mind, it is an added value. For the next slide. On the flip side, we also are an urban campus, and as you guys probably saw, that adds a lot of value from our community perspective, not just our community of learners here on campus that are quite vast, but also our Richmond community. And we are the capital of Virginia, and I think that brings a policy perspective that I think our faculty are very acutely aware of, but then opportunities to get engaged. You can walk around. It's very accessible from a foot traffic standpoint, and I find that to be really a wonderful part of what VCU adds value to, and then also to what we do in schools and what we do with our community. And so the opportunities to engage in your community, and Abigail and I were just talking about that earlier, what are the ways you can engage in volunteer opportunities? Faculty are doing those things, and so to know about them and to engage in them, because we're right here in the heart of the city. So our school, because I think that VCU can be daunting because people are like, oh, it's really big and it's kind of intimidating and I get lost, and you'll probably keep getting lost because I keep getting lost. But our school is very intimate, and I think that we know every single one of our students, which of course is a double-edged sword, because we know when you're not in class and we worry about you. So, you know, it's one of those, you can't really get lost in our programs, which is a huge benefit I find in a lot of our graduates, and you guys will talk about, I know, our graduates later, but a lot of our graduates will say, my faculty really understood my unique career drive, what really drove me, and helped me identify those volunteer opportunities or ways to like go and talk to somebody in the field. And so they knew me specifically. And so I think that the beauty of the large university from a resource standpoint is really wonderful, but then you still get that small experience, small kind of school feel from here as well. One of the things that I like to point out is that we are the second largest external research funded school / college within the university. I think that's really impressive. And I think it says a lot about us, and we're only after the medical campus. So in my mind, I'm just always wowed by that, and that really is that commitment to applied research from our faculty. And so our faculty are engaged in those research opportunities, but from a very practical, informed place, which I'm very passionate about, because if it doesn't make a difference, why are we studying it? And so I think that you'll see that here as well.
So are you all familiar with KCRA? I want to just make sure that this is clear. So KCRA is the Council of Accredited, Counseling Related and Educational Programs.
Right.
And
So it's
so
a
if you're looking, whether you end up at VCU or anywhere else, if you're looking at a counseling degree, make sure it's a KCRA accredited program. And so we are KCRA accredited. Everything that happens in our program is, we actually just got reaccredited for 8 more years last year. So whether you choose VCU or somewhere else, just make sure it's a KCRA accredited program. And so ours definitely is. We want to make sure that that's really, really clear, because that's an important part of our profession. Yeah.
So what does that mean for your classes? Because I know that I get that question from students a lot as well.
Yeah, well, so you kind of alluded to it, that what the courses that you take are the same, that there's a similar, what's the word I'm looking for, like the content between KCRA accredited programs is all the same. And so it also means that if you want to pursue licensure after graduation, you are getting the educational requirements met, because we are following pretty intense standards set by KCRA. So all of our course objectives, learning outcomes, everything we measure is all information that we report back to our accreditation body.
Right, and there are also some interesting faculty-student ratios that they require. So there's like a 12:1 faculty ratio in general. So some classes might be larger than 12, which is not uncommon in certain cases. Other classes are capped at 12 or capped at like certain ratios. So like we can only get so big with our full-time students before we would actually have to basically bring in, another faculty member or hire another faculty member. So that's not as common with non-KCRA accredited programs, where they'll go very large in some cases, and they won't tell you that either sometimes. And and you're just going to be more of just a cog in the wheel.
And down the line, if you're thinking about PhD programs in counseling, most require a master's from a KCRA accredited program as well. So here we are. Here's our counselor ed faculty. There are 7 of us, and we all have very varied research interests. I think we sort of have a common theme. A lot of us do work that in some way kind of relates to social justice advocacy. Very different domains. So all of our faculty are very involved nationally with professional organizations, in leadership roles with professional organizations. And we all just last weekend, we were at a national conference. And so for professional development opportunities, we're very connected in sort of the larger counseling field. And we really look to involve students in our research and in the work that we're doing in national organizations, as much as they want to be involved. Anything you want to add to that?
Let's see, so do you want to run through everybody really?
Sure. So that's me. And my research area is, I work with, I'm a clinical mental health counselor, and my research area is interpersonal violence and college campus sexual assault work, looking at institutional policies, but also kind of response to survivors and ways that colleges can really be proactive in how they work with students. This next, I'll just go that way. Donna Dockery, she's our clinical coordinator, so she coordinates all of our internship and practicum placements, which we can talk about in a little bit, and also just knows everything about everything and is the nicest human you will ever meet. The next person over is Donna Gibson, and she's actually the department chair for counseling and special education, and she's an ACA, American Counseling Association fellow. She's past president of organization. She's very, very involved in the field. And then our newest faculty member, Capriya Johnson, she's an associate professor who just came from ODU. And she does some really interesting work with school counseling in medical settings. So, you know, if a student, you know, person in school is in the hospital for an extended period of time, like what happens, you know, in terms of educational connection and some really interesting integrated care stuff. Mary Herman she's also a lawyer, and she's kind of the ethics guru, and is also a very kind of well-known name in our field. And then Naomi Wheeler is our second newest faculty member, and she does really interesting work around marriage couples and family work, adverse childhood experiences, impact on family systems, and then
there's me, Philip Pinoka, with a beard now. And I do a lot of work on stress and coping and how people cope with certain types of stressors in their lives, as well as certain personality characteristics like perfectionism. So
yeah, so we have
I don't practice it though.
So very varied interests, but we all, I mean, literally last weekend we were all at a conference together in South Carolina, so we do a lot of work within the counseling community. So our master's program, we have two concentrations, the school counseling concentration and the college counseling student development concentration. And we have a full-time and a part-time cohort model with both a summer start and a fall start. So a lot of options. We only have a one time per year admissions, but depending on your situation, there's kind of a lot of options for how your kind of course sequencing will play out. But we do work in cohort models, which is really nice because then you can kind of connect with a group of people throughout your program. And our program is 60 credit hours, which is new. It was 48 credit hours. But to keep up with accreditation, we have just gotten kind of the state approval to move to the 60 credit hours, which means that you are, upon graduation, license eligible for Virginia's counselor licensing. And then our program, also a big piece of our program is field experience, which is really important to get the practical experience. And this is one of those pieces that's dictated by KCRA. So you'll take your initial coursework and then get your feet wet, and then you'll do a 100-hour practicum and then a 600-hour internship where you're placed in, if you're in school counseling, you're placed in, you know, elementary, middle, high, a variety of one for practicum, one for internship. And then if you're in the college counseling student affairs, you know, depending on your own specific interests, placements. Most folks are at VCU just because VCU is so vast, but we have had folks placed at other universities nearby. And then we also have a PhD program. And so for our school counseling students, school counseling folks are eligible for licensure or provisional licensure. I should say PK through 12, sorry. And our college counseling students work really in a very variety of settings, whether it's in a college counseling center or various student affairs offices across campus. And we have not only our placements for school counselors in just schools all over, we have alumni and graduates in basically every school in Richmond or the surrounding areas. We're very well known for our school counseling program. So we have our faculty teach practicum internship, but also some of the area school counseling directors also teach that for us. So we have a lot of interaction with the local school counseling community.
Are these type jobs ones being cut as, you know, funds go down?
Well, you know, really, we sort of see it the opposite. The mental health needs of folks are rising, both in school and university settings. You know, in Virginia, Virginia and New York just got passed the mandatory mental health education, and it's to be seen who's going to roll that out, but an obvious person to be involved with that is a school counselor. You think what's going on with school shootings and just mental health needs in general. So our professional organizations are just advocating, you know, so much to be involved in some of those policy decisions of some of these big national conversations around school safety and all that kind of stuff. So if anything, you know, counselors are unfortunately always increasing in demand.
And I'd say in Virginia as well, one of the reasons why this program has seen expansion is because of that need. So the Virginia sets out sort of K through 12 high shortage needs areas. And school counseling is always on the top of the top 10 list. So for sure, K through 12, but I also have seen it in university settings particularly, mainly because I think with Title IX, especially in the past 10 years, you've seen a huge increase in people needing to understand the world that Abigail works in.
Yeah, the other piece is interesting for us is we have a very, I can't remember the exact graduation rate, which is it's 90 plus.
Graduation rate? Yeah,
is
I mean, it's like
99%. And then our job placement rate. So people actually are either enrolled in a doctoral program after they graduate or are in a related, like the related field that they were actually going for. For school counseling, it's 85, 90%. And then for college student affairs is right up there as well. So we actually have a really good track record of people getting jobs. And it's not necessarily always here in Virginia. We had one recently just got a job in Colorado for school counseling. So
and
it's been a lot of fun.
It's also not guaranteed, but it just anecdotally happens this way that a lot of folks end up either, if not hired by a school that they had part of their field experience in, maybe in that district because they were connected, to the area supervisor. So because our program is so heavy on field experience, you're getting multiple work experience in multiple sites that really help you it's a year-long job interview basically.
So we do pretty well. And luckily the industry seems to be okay.
Yeah. So from the student support side, we're counselors, so we do a pretty good job, I think, of connecting with our students. So all of our students are, advised by a full-time faculty member. As I said, we have a lot of research that is very heavily community engaged with, local schools and local nonprofits. And we're always, if the student wants to get involved with research, we are excited about that. And then we also have a really robust kind of student organization within our program. We have 3 separate student organizations. The Counselor Education Student Networking Association, we call it CESNA, is mainly for both of our master's programs, and it does a lot of like our John Cook lecture, we do an alumni dinner, so a lot of networking things as well as professional development. And then specifically for the college track, we have a Student Affairs Networking Association that does a lot with thinking about like career fairs and that type of thing. And then across all 3 of our programs, we have Chi Sigma Iota International Honor Society, and actually that is jointly with the rehab counseling program on the medical campus. And that is just a national organization that does a lot of advocacy within the profession. There's like, grants that come through that and that kind of thing. Oh, and I should also say, through our student organizations, we assign a second-year student as a mentor to our first semester student. So right away, you're connected with someone, you have your advisor, but you're also connected with a student who's kind of gone through the process that can help kind of think through some of the, just various decisions that you have to make.
And one of the benefits I find of being in a program where we have, you can go part-time or full-time, start in the summer, start in the fall, is you don't have to really worry about your course sequencing or, oh my gosh, how am I going to get in this class because it's full or is there a wait list? So it's like, it's one of the benefits of working on a program that has those aspects of it versus one where you're constantly trying to figure out which class is going to be full, is it going to be offered next semester. So there's a lot less anxiety, in my opinion, of what classes you're going to take sequencing wise, and gives you more time to actually explore our student networks, to actually just be in the library more often, to really get down into the material, and gives you more opportunities. I think that's one of the small things I've always liked to just point out too. So, and if there are certain things that happen, we can still be somewhat flexible with those unique cases as well.
Oh, sorry. Did you want to say something about that?
Oh no, you guys already.
Oh, we already
talked about
okay.
graduation and yeah.
I said, first time we got studying words. I get for nothing.
Okay, so financial aid and scholarships, I get this question a lot.
Oh, and just to interrupt, this is our dean who's also a counselor educator. We claimed him earlier, but yes.
So there are a variety of scholarships and financial aid. I get this question from pretty much everybody. And so on our website, and this just gives you kind of a basic list of, we have merit-based scholarships, we have endowed scholarships. There are also, like Abigail mentioned, certain grant scholarships, and so, but that varies per year because it varies per grant coming in, and when we know about the grant, it's usually then we need to hire somebody. So it's those vary, but of course, as your faculty know you and you are interested in research or interested in whatever that grant is for, they would reach out and then of course vet you for that. And then there are VCU scholarships. All of those are very dependent on program, full-time, part-time, your academic background for the time, and then also if you fit within their eligibility requirements. Some are very specific to Virginia, and some are very specific to Richmond, some are very specific to one high school that this donor wanted to. So because they're so different, I do highly suggest going on our website. Right under future students and financial aid, you'll actually see the link to scholarships. Scan through those and see if your eligibility matches up with the scholarships. It's a fairly straightforward application process that you can do once you're accepted into the program. So those are the main pieces.
And the other thing with that, if you are able to be a full-time student, there's a lot of assistantships available across the university that because of our program's kind of footprint in student affairs, we have so many alumni that work in offices all across, that will need an assistantship and send it to us to say, we really want one of your students for this position. And those are just kind of rolling emails we get, but we have quite a lot of students who have assistantships.
So is that a volunteer thing?
No, so it depends on the setup of the assistantship. It could either be hourly pay, it could be tuition reimbursement, it could be tuition reimbursement and a stipend. So it varies by office and kind of what their setup is. But we, when you're admitted to our program, we kind of include you on our listserv, and every time we get, which is quite often, whether it's working in sort of an advising capacity or, multicultural student affairs or whatever office that we,
services,
we usually have not enough students for those things. So we have really good connections with the university because of our program and the fact that they do student affairs. Yeah. So that it's hard to like nail down, but it's something that just know is a pretty rolling experience.
So so your deadline right now, remind me your deadline.
January.
It's January 15th.
Right, there's a priority deadline
In December.
Yeah, it was a preferred one, but I mean, the reality is if you get everything in by the final deadline, we'll honor everything in that date. So,
And we know February 2nd is our interview day. Is that right?
Check. Yeah, this is an important date to write down. Saturday, February 2nd.
Is when we'll do interviews. So that's we do an initial review, but we, most people who kind of meet those requirements come for interview, and that's like a half day interview process.
And one thing that I want to always, and you guys always remind me, and it's good to also remind students, is that there's no necessarily cutoff scores. I know students always want me to tell them what do I need to get. And I totally appreciate that from an aiming and goal standpoint, right? But particularly in counseling, I've seen that real holistic review of the applicant is really important, mainly because this is a field that you need to look at the whole human, and so I think that they do that from the very beginning really well. So in the online application, and it just changed to a new system this past spring, you'll actually go in there. It will walk you through the steps of submitting your transcripts, writing in folks that you want as recommendations, who will get both a survey and a below the letter. So I get that question a lot as well, that you'll have, just to let your recommendations know, they'll get both a survey that has a few questions on disposition, and then they will have an area that they can upload a letter as well. There is an area called supplemental questions that will ask you very specific career-related questions pertaining to what they're looking for in their applicants. And so you'll have an opportunity to really highlight if there's something in your resume or not in your resume, or if there's something that wasn't really listed in your personal statement that really you want to dig in deeper. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to get admissions process to put your best foot forward.
And so once we go through those key pieces, the resume, the CV, the personal statement, your letter of intention, 3 letters of recommendation, they cannot be from family or a pastor or a rabbi of a church that you go to, unless you work at that church and it's your supervisor. previous college transcripts, we want all of them. And then GRE or MAT scores are appropriate. Again, we don't have a cutoff for the GRE or MAT, but we look at this more holistically, right? So it's a piece of your application, but it's not the end all be all. Or in fact, you're not supposed to use the GRE with a cutoff actually. So we just haven't done that. For the interview, it's a half day, usually about 9 a.m. we start, but people try to get here a little earlier. And we'll have an opportunity to see several different faculty. We have some current master students here. We have some of our doctoral students here. And we have just various different questions and scenarios that we run through. It really gives you an opportunity to see us, as I think is the other way. Like you're still, I mean, while we're trying to screen you, you're also screening us. That's the key piece I like to keep.
So we break into small groups and everyone rotates, so you kind of get a smaller interaction with everyone, all the faculty.
And then we make decisions fairly rapidly after that.
Oh, and there's a writing sample.
Yep, and we do have a writing sample. So you'll bring in hopefully a laptop, something like that, and then we do have a brief writing sample as well, which is graded for or reviewed for content and grammar punctuation. Again, all these things are holistically looked or all of a larger package for your admission.
What is a write-in sample?
A writing.
Oh, writing. Oh,
You
okay.
just get like a
So
prompt.
you give a prompt. And
Yeah.
And is it pretty obvious how to send in all your college transcripts? Yeah.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is I think you can put in like unofficial for this particular one. And same thing, you can put in your unofficial GRE scores, but you will have to send official transcripts and official GRE scores eventually to have that to go into the actual final thing. But I think you can put in the unofficial portions temporarily so we can review it and move on with that.
So if a person didn't have a lot of experience in this field, because this person maybe just graduated recently, I mean, is that a terrible negative?
No, and I mean, there's no undergrad in counseling, so it's not like other fields where maybe there's kind of this expectation of having certain experiences, prior to graduate school. I imagine sciences to be that way, lab experience and all that kind of stuff. We're looking at sort of kind of interpersonal connection. So any volunteer work opportunity where you've worked with people. We're going to teach you how to be a counselor when you get here. We're more looking for folks who just had diverse experiences, maybe in schools, maybe not, with kids, with just interpersonal experiences, really. A leadership, maybe you work at a retail place, but you have a leadership role. Just so all kind of getting back to that connection piece. We're not expecting people to have experience as a counselor because they don't learn how to do that yet.
Yep, our last piece.
So we survey our students every year when they graduate, and from last year, our master students, the themes that really came across, so we asked them, why did you choose VCU? Why did you choose our program? Because I think hearing from our students is kind of the best indicator of us. One is definitely accreditation. People say that across the board. One of the reasons they picked us is accreditation, but also, as I was saying, sort of faculty reputation and involvement in the professional organizations. Certainly location, people love Richmond. I mean, it's a huge draw. And then particularly the fact that we're, located at Urban University, have a lot of great field experiences and urban settings and that type of thing. Opportunities related to diversity. So for the school counseling folks, one of your placements, right? Is it just one of them? One of the placements has to be, it's not within RPS, but it's within a school a high-need school. So you're going to graduate with not only experience in a diverse setting from your field experience, but that's something that's really important to all of our faculty. So that's something that kind of comes up a lot in every class you take, basically. As Philip mentioned, we have a really high employment rate and graduation rate, so that's a good thing to know. Curriculum match interests. While our curriculum is very much dictated by KCRA, it's all really interesting stuff. And so a lot of our students are just like, they're like, I'm such a nerd, I just love class. And I'm like, yes, that's what we want. But we also do have some electives and just kind of some interesting courses that people like. Flexibility in program length, as you were saying, with the difference, part-time, full-time. We really, and all of our classes, we should say, are in the evening, so either 4 to 6:40 or 7 to 9:40. We certainly have a lot of students who are working or have other, family obligations, and so we really cater to that. Other people have other things going on, and we get that. And then ability to acquire personal goals. So the interesting thing about a degree in counseling is you graduate a different person. You can't learn how to help another person grow interpersonally without first, doing some work on yourself. And so people really like that. It's kind of a cool process. You might feel challenged at times, and that's awesome. That's how you grow. And so our program is very experiential. You're never gonna ask a client to do something that you haven't kind of spent some time with yourself. So that personal growth is just, I would say sort of the biggest part of our program. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that summed it up well. Okay.
So me, so obviously I work with both of these wonderful human beings pretty much daily. I'm sorry for all the emails. But what's nice is that I can help answer some of those questions with the application that you may have. And I'm, what I say, and I'm that sort of safe space for applicants, that if you're like, I'm really stressed about my personal on my statement of intent, and I just don't know if it's coming off right, and I just don't, like I'm stressed. Can you just read it over? I'm not part of the admissions acceptance process, which is why really the position was developed, is really to be that student advocate and support network. So feel free. Also, I've had many pep talks with students about their GREs and their MATs and who should they choose as their recommendations and who should they not, and why for, and which one do you think is best. And so feel free to email, and I'll, of course, based on sort of what I've learned about the program, but then also just based on knowledge of how to create a whole package that really helps you put your best foot forward, is something that I feel like I'm pretty good at.
So do a lot more people try to apply, and then what's the ratio, that apply and that are accepted?
Last year.
I think we had 90. I don't remember. I think we have an annual report that goes out every year that's on our. I don't remember the exact number. I think the number was around 90 applicants applied. I think for the people that enrolled, it was around 35.
But accepted were.
It was higher than that, but I don't remember the exact number.
I want to say, so generally, and this is across the college, so not necessarily specific to the program, but across the college, we have about a 70 to 75% acceptance rate. And a lot of people choose this because a lot of times they defer. So they may be accepted and then they defer a year, not necessarily again in this program, but across. I think it's again making sure that it's a good program fit. As long as you've done that research and you guys are here doing that research, it feels like a good program fit and you meet the qualifications. It's a pretty strong case.
I think the numbers were around 90, and I think we accepted between 50 to 60. Yeah. And I think about 35. That's roughly what I remember, but it's on
we
the
do have an
annual
assessment
report.
Whatever
that says is
the
really
new
right.
website.
So if you were accepted, you do have a little time to think, because what if you're applying to a couple of schools?
Right. So the date that you have to,
So what we ask is that typically within about a week or two, we'll send an email that says we provisionally accepted
from the interview.
From the interview and everything else we've reviewed.
So
we can't actually then admit you. We have to put in a recommendation to the graduate school. And then the graduate school does its wonderful bureaucratic churning thing. And then we'll actually send out a formal letter once all the things are out. And usually if you have things that you're missing, like you haven't sent in the official GRE scores, those things would still have to be sent in. So it's a conditional thing. Once those are in, I think you have until, technically I think you have through most of the summer to start to roll.
You do. Technically by, I think it's like a federal mandate. Schools are not supposed to, but they're not supposed to require you to make a decision until April 1st.
Okay.
So, again, some schools do that.
And so since our interview is at February 2nd, really within a week or two, we just send you here's what we're recommending to graduate school, which is 100% of the time what happens. Yeah. So as you're kind of planning and looking at other schools, because that's a big decision.
Yeah, so we do ask at some point for you to let us know if you're intending to enroll, because it helps us to figure out how many classes we need, and then if you're going to start in the summer or the fall, because that really helps us figure out, oh my gosh, we may have to open a second section here or something else like that. But usually most people are pretty sure by May, I think, if they're going to make it in or not. And other programs are usually going to be kind of hitting you up as well about that point in time too.
One thing to also consider, and I was just at the student affairs leadership meeting, is, and I asked them that question because I want to make it a little more transparent for students of what assistantships are available across the university. And so what I did get out of that conversation with them is that generally their timeline is that they're taking applications around February, March, and they're interviewing really sort of March, April, and making decisions around that. So so you do want to kind of keep on that line as well, is to keep up with what we're doing and what's available in that application process too, if you're interested in that.
And also, I think all assistantships also have to be posted on higher rands, right? So you
Supposed to
can
be.
be looking to see. That.
So if you were full-time, there still is time to do these assistant.
Because they'll be giving you the information, right,
But it's,
within something.
I mean, as like coursework along with having a GA ship,
Right.
like this during like the fall and spring semesters.
Yeah.
There is. You'll be busy.
Yeah, it is.
You will be busy.
So assistantships are generally, if they're tuition reimbursement, they're usually 20 hours per week before.
So you will definitely be working and busy, but it's doable. I mean, but some students actually choose not to do it because you will be taking your full time for in certain classes a semester. Of some in the summer now because it's a 60 semester.
60 credit.
60 credit. 60
60
semesters. 60 credit. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happens when it's been all morning doing this. 60 credit hours. So you do stay pretty busy.
Yeah.
But some students are able to just churn it out.
But the other thing is the internship, the 600 hours, that's like 40 hours a week. So people are like, we'll have a lot of folks who are teachers who, decide that they want to spend some more time with students and go in our school counseling track, and then we'll have to take a leave of absence that internship semester because that's too much to work and do an internship.
Yeah, a few principals will kind of be flexible with you in certain cases, but it's a principal school specific decision from the leaders.
And you go online to find out about tuition.
And because that's based, because we're a state institution that's based on, of course, your status, full-time, part-time, and your resident status. And so since everybody is a little different, and so when you go on our website on the financial aid, you'll also see the tuition calculator. They hide it. They did not make that easy to find, so we try to make it a little easier for you to find.
Well, the major schools in Virginia, are they comparable or?
The state schools?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same. I mean, fees might be slightly different, but generally it's maybe a little bit different per credit hour, but not much.
Yeah.
In full-time terms.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Is it beneficial to apply by the preferred deadline, or is it just kind of?
So we honor equally which deadline you take. If you get in slightly earlier, what we usually do is we just start reviewing them as they come in earlier, and you may hear from us a little sooner rather than later about the interview or not. That's usually what will happen. But that's usually the only big piece of it. But we'll get people that come up to January 15th, I believe, and we'll still honor it as much as we will honor any other applicant up to that point.
Okay.
Good question.
So since I didn't go to the psychology research fair, are there any opportunities for undergraduates to do research with the school counseling?
So, shake your head, swing.
There are a couple labs I know within the College of Education or school, whatever we call it. Yeah, the Learning and Cognition Lab by doctors Jason Chow and Christine Bay. I know they are every so often looking for undergraduates. My lab right now we're full. With regret, I couldn't add someone else if I needed to, but there are at times for certain spots that do open up.
Okay.
So that would be one. I know that Dr. Bay and Chow, I don't know if they're looking now, but they would be someone to inquire about.
and this isn't specific to the School of Ed, but we were talking about earlier this morning, the Fit for Science. They have a lot of research opportunities. If you go to the Fit for Science website, they have both a research course where you can use Fit for Science data and kind of be mentoring how to do that, but then they have research opportunities to do that. So, and that's, related field. So that's just a good opportunity if you don't know about that.
We both affiliate with them as well, so it's a great place to be.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And soon we'll have a major map, which will have all sorts of, especially like associations, professional associations in the area. Yeah.
Do we want to unmute?
Oh, I think they can do that, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Any questions on the Zoom, people?
Yeah, actually, if you could speak to, I guess the benefit of the summer versus fall start date, that would be pretty helpful.
That's a good question.
Start early.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the benefit is just that you can start earlier.
There's
it's not.
I don't know if there's any real big difference between the two.
I will say the biggest difference is summer courses are faster.
Okay.
So your beginning courses are Intro to Counseling and Theories of Counseling, which are like the foundational courses. And so they're condensed in the summer. And so just sort of knowing your own, way that you learn, if that is a factor, then that's
right.
Really the only big difference.
Because I think they'll meet like Monday and Wednesday for
4 hours.
4 hours, and then that'll be like
one
class, and the other class will meet on Tuesday and Thursday. And they'll start at
from
4
to 8:15.
Yeah, to 8:15. So it's a lot of work. But if you're full time, you want to get a head start. And some people even throw in a research class. It's the other option that you have for that summer. So you do get a kind of a head start with it. But the sequencing, you still so it just tacks on one. You start a little earlier, but you're still going to graduate in about 2 years, essentially, if you're being full time, either direction. But the summer classes are a little more intense.
So either way, even if you started in the fall, you're probably going to go the next summer.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can't remember the exact.
The new courses.
Yeah, the new summer classes. You would have to take summer classes regardless. So either way you're doing it. The sequencing actually, so we have our Counselor Ed website, and in there we have a lot of information, including the current handbook. And the handbook has the actual sequencing
Like
out there
every
for
course
you. Right. Now, and it says optional, has a little star by it right now, it says optional LPC courses. Those are now mandatory.
Yeah,
So
like
those are the 60 credits, or 60 semester credit, whatever you want to call it. So.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out, I guess, if it impacted when you graduated and when it wouldn't make sense for school counseling to start a job. But I can go ahead and look on the handbooks for that too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Okay, cool.
Well, let us know if you think of one on the way out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn this on the recording.
Like, would you go ahead and start taking classes, or you're just here to get information for 1 year from now? Because you said you're a junior.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be great. That's a good way to do it. Isn't it wonderful to meet y'all?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of your evening. Jenna?